Hello everyone, we are thrilled to share some wonderful news and a special project we've been working on. As some of you may know, we are eagerly awaiting the arrival of our first grandchild. It's an exciting time for our family and we want to ensure that our home is ready to welcome this precious new member. Today I'm excited to talk about how we plan to create a cozy and welcoming nursery at Grandma and Grandpa's house, while also being mindful of our budget. We want our home to be a haven for a grandchild, a place filled with warmth and memories that will last a lifetime. I started by cleaning out my son's old bedroom to prepare it for a fresh coat of paint. I wanted to start with a neutral palette, so I chose the color White Sash to really brighten up the space. And the pops of color will come from the decor that I'll be making later on in this video. I am repurposing some existing furniture that I already have, like this dresser that I previously painted, as well as this cube organizer, both of which have a nice neutral white and gray color. And this would be perfect for storing extra clothes and toys. I did purchase a new crib, and you may be wondering, why do you need a crib at Grandma and Grandpa's house? Well, I chose this particular crib because it can also turn into a toddler bed, a day bed, and if you purchase additional rails, it can become a twin bed. And I thought that this would be great to use as my grandchild and future grandchildren grow. This bed can change to suit their age group. I also purchased a glider, which I think will be a comfortable space to gently rock the baby to sleep. This beautiful light up sign was given to me by my son this past Christmas, and I think it's going to be a perfect night light when my grandchild stays over. Now it's time to craft some decorations and add some character and uniqueness to this nursery. Using a large piece of cardboard that I had left over from a package over Christmas, I'm going to use a pencil and hand draw out the shape of a cloud. Then using my electric scissors, I can cut this down to be a more manageable size. Then set the cardboard on top of a cutting board and finish cutting the details out using my utility knife. Using a sanding block, I can go around the edges to smooth any rough areas. Using a square and a long piece of wood, I can find the center and make a mark with a pencil. And this will be my starting point for my chunky yarn. The color theme for the nursery is sage green, so I'm going to cut a length of the chunky yarn longer than the center of the cloud and secure that in place using some hot glue, but trying to keep it as straight as possible. I can then use that as my reference to continue to add the hot glue and the chunky yarn all along the bottom, and once I have that complete, I can continue the same process on the very top of the cloud. Where the curves in the cardboard are, I'm just going to run a straight piece of yarn all the way across so that it will keep that straight line. From the back side where those areas are, I'm going to cut them towards the cardboard to make it more manageable so that I can take my scissors and go around and trim all of the excess yarn off. To give it a more finished look, I decided to go around the entire outside edge and hot glue some white chunky yarn. While gluing the white trim on, I realized that there was a bend in the cardboard, so I felt like it was going to be a little weak on that side. So I'm going to take some jumbo craft sticks and hot glue this along the back side to really reinforce it so that this will not bend. Because this is so lightweight, I'm going to be hanging mine up with some command picture hanging strips. These sort of like stick together, and then you could stick it to the back side of your piece and then line it up on your wall and stick it to your wall, and it will not damage your paint. Of course, I decided to go ahead and make 2 more small clouds to match the large one. I used a much thicker cardboard for these, so I did not have to add any craft sticks to the back, but I am going to hang them up the exact same way as the large one with the command picture hanging strips. I ordered a set of 2 beautiful crib sheets from Temu, but once I washed and dried them, they would not fit the mattress. So I'm going to turn these into a beautiful piece of art, but first I need to go ahead and cut the elastic band off so that I can make sure that I can stretch this out and it'll be flat and I can use the least amount of material as possible. I'm using a 16 by 20 canvas from Dollar Tree for $3, and I'm going to coat the entire top as well as the edges of this canvas using an even layer of Mod Podge, and then I will allow that to completely dry. I also went ahead and trimmed down the fabric to better fit the canvas. Now that the Mod Podge is dry, I can line the fabric up to make sure I have the design exactly where I want it to be. Leave a little excess fabric on each side and make sure you remove any wrinkles. Then using a piece of parchment paper and an iron, I have mine set on like 365, go over the entire top part of the canvas to adhere that fabric to the canvas. This iron is just going to heat up that Mod Podge and your fabric will stick to the canvas itself. Then I'm going to start on one edge and pull that very tightly, go over the edge with the iron so the Mod Podge will adhere it, and then add in a few staples. I'll do the exact same thing on the opposite side. I'm just adding a few staples to start off with. I will go back and line the edge with the staples. I just wanted to hold it in place so I can get everything attached. I'm going to trim any excess fabric off, and then you're going to fold this over just like you are wrapping a present, and then fold it over to the top, hold it very tightly, add a staple where the two overlap, repeat that process on the other end, add your staple, and then continue to add staples along the side. Then you'll turn it around to the last side and complete that using the exact same method by folding the corners in, flipping that over, making sure that you keep your fabric tight, and then adding your staples. Then you can go back around it, add all of your additional staples, and if you have any excess fabric, you can trim that off as close to the edge as possible. For the other sheet, I have 4 canvases from Dollar Tree. They all measure 8.5 inches square, but because the material is so thin, I know that these designs will show through. So I'm going to go around the edge of every single one of these with one coat of white chalk paint, and then I'm also going to paint the tops of all of these with 1 to 2 coats depending on if that design is still peeking through. Allow that paint to completely dry. Then add an even layer of Mod Podge to all 4 canvases and allow that to completely dry. We're going to use the same method we did in the previous project. However, the sheet that I am using has these gorgeous little designs on it. It has 3 different deer, so I know I'm going to have to duplicate one of the deer, and that's why I chose those 4 separate canvases. So now that the Mod Podge is dry, I'm going to line my fabric up in the design where I want it on top of the canvas, and then iron that on using that iron at about 365. Trim the excess fabric away, but leaving some on all 4 sides. And just like in the previous project, we are going to iron the edge once we pull it really tight. Now this one I did flip over to the opposite side and go ahead and iron that edge to let that Mod Podge adhere the fabric to the canvas. Then we're going to fold those ends just like a present, flip it over, add our staples, and then staple all along the sides. And I'm going to do that for all 4 canvases. I have an old picture that I'm going to repurpose. I love the gray frame. I think it's going to match perfectly with the furniture. I have already removed everything out of the picture, so the front's going to become the back and the back is going to become the front. I am going to paint this with 2 coats of a sage green chalk paint and allow that to dry. I made a vinyl decal with my Cricut, and I'm using my square to make sure that I can place this in the center, and then I'll use a ruler to make sure that everything is even on each side before burnishing this down and removing my transfer tape. Then I can adhere this back into the frame, and since I had to pull all of the little staples out of the back, I'm going to use some super glue and place that all around the rim of the frame so that I can then place this back inside and allow that super glue to set up. And although you won't see the back, I didn't like the way it looked, so I'm going to take some brown craft paper, trim that down to size, and cover the back with this. You could either use double-sided sticky tape or hot glue. For the final project, I'm going to use these 3 signs from Dollar Tree. I love the color of the frames, but I need to remove this raised portion off of each of the backings. They were very easy to remove using that little spatula. And then I'm going to take a sanding block to go over each of these to really make sure that they're nice and smooth, because I printed out the most adorable watercolor prints on textured paper, and I'm going to go ahead and line my backing up to make sure that the print itself is centered. Then I can trace, cut this out, and attach it to the backing. I am going to sit this on a piece of wax paper just to make sure I don't get glue everywhere, because I'm going to use a glue stick and really make sure I cover that backing completely. Then I can go ahead and place my print, press it down, put this back in the frame, and I'm going to do that for all 3 of these prints. We are overjoyed to be on this journey and can't wait to meet our grandchild. Thank you for sharing this exciting moment with us. Please take care, and I will see you guys next time.